Week update. I told you we are going to come to you multiple times. I'm going to tell you the lineup. We're going to come to you Friday with Senator Mike Moon. We're going to come to you Thursday with Senator Lincoln Huff. Tomorrow, Aaron Baker, the king of North Missouri politics. And today we have joined, first of all, Camelia Peterson from Americans with Prosperity stopped in. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, happy to be here.
And coming to you from Kansas City, the Irish Prince of KC, my old buddy, the legendary Mike Mahoney. Mike, thanks for making the time this morning.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
All right, I thought what we'd do is walk through the statewide races to get your opinion. But first and foremost, I'm so disappointed in St. Louisans and Missourians. There was no riots for this last place finish. No one died. It's a mark of shame on our culture. I don't know what – I mean, the whole world feels like it's just kicking me in the ass when we come in last place and the manager stays. I've been depressed. It's been hard, but, you know, you get by one day at a time. What can you do? We come out and they said they're going to get us 3 starters, right? So, Mike Mahoney, what did you think of the Lance Lynn signing?
I'll tell you what I think of all 3 signings. Just get it together. I think they're into building a staff right now that eats innings, because that was part of the problem last year. And Lynn and Sonny Gray can both eat innings for the club, but they haven't stepped up. And all 3 of these guys are in their 30s, and so they haven't stepped up, in my opinion, in terms of buying or getting that big horse that they need, legit number 1, number 2 starters. And if that and I believe it is a problem, and it was huge part of the problem for the club this past year, and it hasn't been solved yet. We've got that problem perennially over here with the Kansas City Royals. I'm a lifelong Cardinal fan, though. I know. But
all 8 players' moms that go to the games have that problem.
Come on, lighten up. But anyway, I'm not satisfied yet that they've.
Mike Mahoney, do you realize there's a person today who's in 8th grade who has never been alive for a Cardinals World Series win? Do you realize we live in a world right now where there's students in 8th grade who have never been alive for a Cardinals World Series win? What the hell is happening?
That's a damn shame. There's no question about that.
Damn shame. So I think if you sign enough number 4 starters in November, you probably won't need a number 1 starter in October. I think this team, as it sits right now,
be playing in October.
There you go. This team right now has a 50-50 shot, depending on what the Cubs do, depending on if the Brewers really trade that one of their aces, to win the Central Division. It is a weak division. I think you could win it. I think with the schedule parity now, where you're not playing your own division with a weighted schedule, I think the wild card gets harder for Central Division teams, where it was easier because you had that cushion of weaker teams to play. But let's be honest, the Pirates are approaching just kind of bad. The Reds are approaching a team that could beat you on any day. They could sweep you on any weekend, to be honest with you. They could also they get swept, but I mean they're a young team, but better. The Cubs are improving. The Brewers have been great. I tell you, I think Craig Counsell. I mean, damn, you take the best manager. I think maybe not. I'm saying baseball because you got to win that October series. But one of the top manager in the league by a country mile. We kept the worst manager in the league by a country mile, and the Cubs got the best one. My head is spinning. I don't know who Marmol has naked pictures of, but it must be someone important.
And to add on to that, I think Ohtani's going to end up with the Cubs. I really do.
I think that could be right, but I tell you this: I think a signing that big. Name me the signing, the true free agent signing that has went great. Because for every record-breaking signing you can tell me that's went great, I can give you 4 or 5 that have been busts.
Well, yeah, sure, you can, but I mean, if Ohtani simply plays 150 games as a fielder and doesn't pitch, he's going to be very good ball player. If he continues to be a 2-way player, he's going to continue, I think, to be a very good ball player. And
did you ever think you'd see a guy like that in hit? Amazing.
Well, no, let me finish this. I think the way the Cubs went to go after Craig Counsell shows that they want to spend even more money. So
I would assume part of the conversation to get Counsell is we're going to spend money. All right, give me a prediction as it stands right now. I'll start. Camille, you can go third. I don't know that Camille loves the Cardinals as much as you and I. I would say the team as it sits right now could win the Central. I'd like to be mad, and I am mad right now, but by what's that Jack Buck poem? By the spring when the flowers bloom and the Clydesdales go, I have my red sweater on today because I was happy to get to talk about baseball with somebody knowledgeable. I will be a fan. I think this team could win the Central. I don't think that rotation could win a 3-game series against anybody that could make a best of 5. I don't think they could win a best of 5 against anybody that could make a best of 5. What do you think?
I don't think they can win the division. I think second place would be astonishing with the way the team is constructed right now. And I mean, the winter meetings are just starting. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't think this is a team that can win a division.
Camelia, what do you think? I mean, you attended both games. A game. She went to a game in baseball heaven, and then she went over to that parking lot for the Chiefs and watched the baseball game.
Well, it's I always hope both teams have fun, but there's but I can tell you that my experience at the Cardinals game was much more enjoyable.
Well, there was people there, so that helps. Mike, let me ask you this. I tell you what, I am sort of excited about the Royals for one reason. To me, I tell you, a downtown ballpark, I mean, you can't have a better environment than a Chiefs football game out there on the outskirts with the big parking lot and the tailgating. What an awesome environment. And say what you will about the Royals. Chiefs fans show up whether they're good or bad. Chiefs fans are not fair weather fans. They're legitimate fans. A downtown stadium is...
Scott, I can remember times when this team was so bad it wasn't drawing 10,000 people to games. There have been long stretches of Chiefs football where the attendance hasn't been that good.
Yeah, I tried to bring the Kansas City move back up, and there's Mike with just reality. I tried to dog the Royals. So a downtown stadium to me is very romantic. When I think of a baseball stadium, I think of it downtown. But I tell you what, I went and looked at the Northland site. Damn, those folks have a vision. Where are the Royals going to end up playing baseball 3 years from now?
I don't think anybody knows for sure, and that's
that's why we have you on, though, so you can be the soothsayer. Well, I'll tell you, that Northland site makes a lot of sense. I'll tell you, if they can lock them in to do the things around the stadium that they're planning, damn, I tell you, I'm a default downtown stadium guy, but boy, that Northland project is impressive.
Yeah, you're right. The preferred site for the Royals is to come downtown. The secondary site in Clay County, which would be probably 15 or 20 minutes away from downtown Kansas City. It's not going to be that far. It wouldn't be out.
Is it even that far? I mean, to me, if you have no traffic, that's not 15 minutes, right? I went there at 3 in the afternoon. It wasn't bad.
It's 15 minutes. Okay.
Is it because of the bridge?
And if you got traffic, it's going to be longer than that. But it's not an obstacle. The site in North Kansas City has more acreage available more acreage available than downtown Kansas City. Excuse me. And
it's a modern park design too, which I'm not usually for, but damn, that's a nice park.
Yeah, and the other thing is there's 750,000 folks in Jackson County. There's about 350,000 in Clay County. I don't know if Clay Countyans as a whole will vote to support a baseball tax, and there are half as many of them as there are in Jackson County, and so the tax and the lift by the Clay Countyans would be a bigger ask. So there's a couple of three things involved there. Also, there's a residual building feeling over here, Scott, that Kauffman Stadium isn't broken. Let's why leave it?
Well, it certainly holds the crowds that show up for the games now.
Right. And I understand that the rip on that, but I mean, it holds 30, 40,000 about 40,000 people. I don't think the St. Louis ballpark is appreciably much bigger than that, and that doesn't go to say
48,867.
48,000. I thought it was more like
that's with standing room only.
All right, okay, but the thing is a lot of people don't think that they need to leave Kauffman Stadium at all. And
it is a pretty stadium. I mean, the Fountains. I mean, it is a pretty stadium.
It's a pretty stadium. The access is knocked out. It crosses 2 interstates. All of that.
Do you think though it will be cathartic for not just Kansas City, but the state as a whole, really the country, internationally even, to bulldoze the side of that terrorist attack in 1985?
I love how I had to explain to my wife.
You think that'd be a positive step forward to bulldoze the side of the 85 attacks?
Camilla, do you know what he's talking about?
I don't actually.
Okay.
There was a terrorist attack. 10 Royals took the field in Game 6 in ninth inning, and the greatest Royal of all time, Don Dinkinger, come up with a great play, and we were attacked. And Kansas City has maintained that AAA ballpark on the side of that attack for now. My gosh, what is it? 35 years, going on 40 years. I mean, don't you think it's probably time to just bulldoze that site?
I don't know about that.
So let's Camellia. Well, I bet you she will not support Clay Countyans passing a baseball tax. What do you think?
I think you'd be right.
But what if that's what they want to do?
Well, I guess then, I mean, this is so tyranny of the majority, right? What about the people who don't want to do it? Like, do they get to opt out of paying their taxes for it?
This is what I like, Mike. The modern Republican Party is broke down to this. They're all for liberty and freedom and against the swamp. Unless you don't do what they want, then they're for tyranny. I found everybody's for tyranny.
Really the proper role of government?
Well, isn't that what the democracy's for? If they want to, if 51% of the people say yes, then I guess it is. I mean, I don't know that it's a good idea, but
we are not a democracy, Scott.
See, this is the scary part about letting the religious take over. All right, Mike, let's talk about some political races here. We just put our tip sheet out. Let's talk about this governor's race. You got Mike Kehoe, Jay Ashcroft, Bill Eigel running. Handicap where that thing is and where you think it's going to go.
I like the lane from Mike Kehoe because Bill Eigel and Jay Ashcroft are competing for the same body of votes, and in a primary, which is where I think this thing is going to get settled ultimately. When you have 3 or more in it, and there's a likelihood of the race going negative, which I think this one will, you'll find the senator and the secretary of state going after each other. And when that happens, the third man out, in this case Kehoe, becomes the alternative choice, because voters go, well, a plague on both your houses for attacking one another. We're gonna go for a third option. And that's part of the other advantage on that is that Mike Kehoe is doing a fine job raising some money, and he's got a lot of it, and that'll help him in this primary. I think it'll help him a lot. I like it. I like where he is at in this race. Now, if it comes out to excuse me, Kehoe, Ashcroft with Eigel trailing badly, then it has a different dynamic, because it would be the right wing of the Republican Party against the moderate wing of the Republican Party, and I think the right wing of the party might prevail.
Well, I mean, it breaks down to this right now. Eigel's attacks are essentially on social media and they're at events. I would say there's no undecided voters that would consider voting for Mike Kehoe following any of Bill Eigel's social media, or even open to a message from him. But there are folks that Jay Ashcroft needs to win that are on Mike Kehoe's, they're on Eigel's social media and are in his persuadable group. Eigel, to me, is a great orator. He's the best on a right-wing media. He's perfected the art of playing the left-wing media. I mean, he knows how to take the left-wing media and the right-wing media and work them both to his advantage. He does stuff the left-wing media whines about, that he goes to the right-wing media and says, look, they hate it, so it must be good. And it's so effective. He's a maestro at it. I think though, in terms of the money, $5 million for on hand for Kehoe at the last quarter, $1.5 million for Eigel, and then I think Ashcroft's at 2.25. Mike Kehoe has the field literally lapped together as far as money goes. I think this though, there is a lot of older folks that may vote every other primary, so they may vote, they may not. They're not going to listen to a lot of media. They're not going to. They think anything in their mail is a lie, and everything on all the ads are lies. If they show up to vote, they're hard to reach. I think they're Ashcroft voters, just off the name.
Yeah, I'm not sure that that they don't pay attention to the news, and I'm not sure that they don't look at the literature. So I think in that body of voters, I think those two elements remain substantial. I don't know. I don't know if that's the case for every race and every candidate, but for that body of universe you just described of voters, I think it is.
I had people who responded to my tip sheet already. Oh, that's just name ID from his dad. Well, there's a lady in Arkansas whose dad was governor, and you know what they call her now? They call her Governor Huckabee too. So whatever the man he comes from, I don't think it matters. Camellia, you spend a lot of time in the circles of folks, and my assumption is would consider probably voting for Ashcroft or Eigel. Mm-hmm. Is Eigel's a tax landing?
In those circles, yes, I think so. And you're right. He's done a great job running the campaign that he has. I do think that the name ID is a real issue. With Kehoe, there's a surprising number of people who don't know who the lieutenant governor is at all.
Or that there is one.
Or that there is one. Yes, exactly. But the thing is, as I was telling you earlier, I talked to somebody the other day down in Southwest Missouri who I would consider to be, not neck deep in politics anymore, but still very politically aware, knows what's going on. And he had no clue who Bill Eigel was. So, he knew who, the lieutenant governor is, and he knows who Jay Ashcroft is, but he didn't know who Bill Eigel was.
Take a second here and thank my buddy Ryan. He got me this wonderful, and I brought this out specifically today, Luck of the Irish Stein in honor of my friend Mike Mahoney, very active in the Irish community in Kansas City. Pull a Stein of knowledge here. Talk about somebody I find very interesting, Crystal Quaid. She's got an opponent, my camera, business guy. Two things in this. Number one, I think we've seen just the statistics are real. The Democrats have spent a generation or two saying white, heterosexual Christian males are the problem with the world. I think their primary voters have listened, and I think it's evidenced by I don't see a lot of competitive races with the winner at the end being a white, heterosexual Christian male in the Democrat Party. Am I wrong?
No.
Just the facts are who wins.
Well, in a sense, you are just because there are lots of white guys in Missouri on both sides of the aisle. I think Crystal Quaid is a real attractive candidate. I think she'll win the nomination going away. She would have to have every break in the book and run an absolutely perfect plus campaign to be the next governor of Missouri. I
agree with you, but I think she's actually the one Democrat capable of threading that needle. If everything broke right, which is we're talking a 10% chance here, maybe 20. I think, though, I've watched people in politics, you still have to be talented when the luck finds you. And I think she has that talent.
Right.
The only one I can think of that does.
No, in fact, that's exactly where I was going with the thought, Scott, is that she, among pretty much everybody else available in the Missouri Democratic Party right now, has that combination of the legislative skills, the political skills, and I think the people skills that, if she gets a perfect environment plus every break in the world, lightning could strike. Probably won't, but she's not a bad candidate for the D's at all.
So let me ask you this though. So I don't think it's a secret. If she were to place well, and I think she will actually play. I think the abortion thing will help. I think the state doing a little bit of moderating will help. Trump will drive off some folks. But I do think, she's got to place. She's got to show well, and if she shows well, she'll be the front runner for that state Senate seat next cycle in Springfield. It'll be up when Lincoln Huff's term limited. I've watched though; It's very. I watched Nicole Galloway struggle with this too, and I think Nicole probably doesn't plan on running again. In the Democrat Party, when it gets so small, you have to placate your shrill, angry, woke, offended Hillary Clinton folks. And if she has to go, I watched her make some comments the other day on something. I'm like, that's not the person I followed. But I can tell you, it's very hard if that's who you're around all the time, and that's who you're campaigning to, and it's a very small party, basically in two places, and maybe a small Columbia and small Springfield thing. If Jay Nixon ran a race to build his profile against Jack Danforth, but he ran it with a Democrat Party that wanted to win races, that was staking out the center. They were there to win. I'm not sure Missouri Democrats are ready to win yet. Is there a danger they make her go so far to the left with things that right or wrong, that's not my place to say, but are so politically unpalatable, they really, instead of being a thing that marked Jay Nixon's career and his takeoff, is this Democratic Party going to let her do the things to follow that same mold?
That's a good question. I'm not sure that they will. The follow up to that is, if she has to go down a hard left path, what happens if she doesn't do that? Where does that body of voters go? Are they going to sit it out? I don't think so. I think their contempt for the Republican Party in the state of Missouri among the hard left is such that they'd hold their nose and probably still vote a Democratic ticket. So I don't think that she will, but I'm not sure that there's much loss by tacking to the center a little bit more.
So
where they're going to go.
Camille, you watch politics all the time. She's a talent, right?
Sure. I think it matters who she ends up running against too. I think 2022 showed us a lot in the red wave that did not happen.
Yeah.
And whoever I think has the most appeal to those people in the middle and in the suburbs is going to be who has it.
Her and Bill Eigel, or her and Jay Ashcroft could run a campaign, talk to totally different people, and both get what they want out of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, Mike Kehoe, a little bit different kettle of fish. Be interesting to see her run against Mike Kehoe. But it's an odd thing. Mike, let me ask you this. There's a bigger political theory here that probably takes a bigger perspective than I have to see it. I watched Mike Kehoe be in the room, sweating, up at 2 a.m., begging, pleading, trying to get all the accomplishments the Republican Party, Missouri Right to Life, are so proud of today, and rightfully so. I watched him be in the room begging for them, negotiating for them, giving and taking, and I watched the folks that were not in the room there attack those. And the guy, Mike Kehoe and Caleb Browden might be the two most accomplished conservatives in the history of the Missouri Republican Party. And they get vilified from the right. It's almost like you get punished for your victories, right?
Yeah, I understand that point of position. I just want to ratify what Camilla said is I think who Crystal Quaid ends up running against on the Republican side has a lot to do with it. If it's Mike Kehoe, her chances are diminished. I think if it's Bill Eigel or Jay Ashcroft, and it's that scenario of the 100% correct, 100% lucky campaign, then it could be a different outcome. But I think it's real important.
That's part of the luck, right? Is she doesn't get Kehoe. Part of that part of those 10 things, the luck to go her way. Not running against Kehoe is one of those 10.
Yeah,
I think it also affects what you mentioned about that kind of like those niche groups within the progressive part of the Democrat Party is how far they will push her, because I think we saw that with Trudy Bush Valentine too. Like, she was not allowed to be moderate and they excoriated her for being moderate.
Mike, I don't want to. I told you we wouldn't keep you all morning. I could sit and bullshit with my buddy Mike Mahoney all day. I do remember Trudy Bush Valentine. It was interesting to me to see. I'll take it back in. Let's go back to 18. I think Claire McCaskill, that Supreme Court judge that turned everything around when they had the allegations against him, and for whatever right, wrong, and different, this state choked up those allegations. Claire McCaskill could have voted to confirm him and not been the deciding vote. Now, I just have a hard time believing one of the savviest politicians in Missouri history didn't know that would have helped her. And I asked a couple people that were affiliated with her campaign, why didn't she just vote to confirm him when it was already going to happen. And they said her funding, the people that are funding this would have been so aghast. Take what I'm sure she did what she felt was right, but from a politically pragmatic position, it would strike me that the gal that was born in Houston, Missouri, didn't know this state was not buying that. Right, wrong, and different. They just weren't, and that would have made her whole case about I'm independent, I'm not just a stamp. But they said her money would have dried up.
Yeah, no, I believe that would have been the case as well. For probably talking to some of the same people. But McCaskill in 18 is a very different candidate and campaign than Trudy Bush Valentine was in the Schmidt race. Valentine was was almost a vanity candidate. I'm not saying that she didn't have good intentions or anything like that, but I don't believe on her own Trudy Bush Valentine was going to step into this race and do anything other than what she did, which was going to get clobbered. I think Lance Kuntz, couldn't have done any worse.
I agree with you. I don't think Eric Schmidt was going to get beat in that primary. I think Eric Greitens would have won also, but it would have been tighter. I also don't think Josh Hawley's going to get beat no matter what people do. Although I would like to see Carla May in a debate because she'd be tremendous. She'd be wonderful. I'll say this, though. The best Bush to run for office is Adolphus. Adolphus has this personality. I mean, you would talk about the Donald Trump of Missouri. It is nobody right now. Adolphus Bush, he'd do 2 interviews with you, and you'd love him. They'd be great. He would say things that an old boy drinking a beer somewhere in New Haven, Missouri, would hear and be like, damn it, that's right. And it would be so crazy to everybody else. Adolphus would be a hell of a candidate. Let's talk about this lieutenant governor race. Holly Rader, very talented state senator, got the money to run. Now Dean Plocker. What's your take on the whole Dean Plocker situation, and if he sticks in this race and where he'll place?
I'm not down in Jefferson City anymore on a regular basis. I think the speaker's got problems. I don't think they're fatal problems in terms of hanging on to his office or anything. But I think among those that know in Missouri Republican politics, they're not. I don't think they like this double dipping. And I'm not sure that they understand the constituent service contract thing, but it doesn't feel right to them. Holly Rudder has been putting in the time on this race and the legwork in the state capitol in the Senate. I'm not. I think the speaker is going to have a long road to hoe here.
To me, I think he hangs on. I think obviously it's not good. It's a lesson in a lot of things about being speaker, but he's got $1.2 million in the bank. That's more than anybody else. I do think he could put together a quality campaign. I think it's amazing how little people hang on to stuff, but he's got problems. I think it's going to come down, does he want to do it? And I watched some people that were probably, I don't think it was any official thing, but I think it's folks that probably felt like they were supporting Holly Rader, giving him grief. Bob Onder gets in this race. Bob Onder has a voting record that he's voted no a ton, which is a good thing, especially second half of his career. First half, not so much. He knows the rhetoric. I assume he has a track on the Right to Life endorsement. And number 4, he has personal wealth, but he has a brother that owes him a big favor, who's literally like wealthy, like top few people in the state wealthy, who could fund his campaign in a phone call. Bob Onder, if I had to guess, is harder to run against than Dean Plocker, but a 3-way helps Holly even more. Tell me where you see the race with the 3 of them in it.
I think everything you just said about Senator Onders right on the beam, and I think in a 3-way race, by virtue of the name ID that he's got, not just in the eastern part of the state or in the political class in Jeff City. But over here in Western Missouri, where he is known to some degree, I think that makes him a formidable candidate.
What do you think? I mean, these are circles you work in every day. I mean, I assume folks probably don't have a beat on who their supportive lieutenant governor yet, but stretch it out. If there's all three of them there, how's Holly not the front runner?
I think she's formidable and accomplished. I think most of all, she's probably relatable.
Mm-hmm.
She has a great story. When she speaks to you, I mean, like she's personable.
And that voice is just a voice people. Missourians like that rural voice, and she's got her pack is called Southern Drawl Pack. She has Southern Drawl. It's legitimate. It's not like a Harvard person putting on boots and cowboy boots and jeans trying to look like and relate to somebody. I mean, Holly Rader truly could relate. She could sit at the nicest table at the Ritz-Carlton, or she could sit at Sputz out on a roadside bar on 63, and Holly Rader could talk to everybody there. That is a talent. I think if she gets the two guys and they fully go in and run, I think she would have been the slight favorite against Plucker 2 months ago. I think she's with Onder, it's tighter.
Yes.
But she's probably still, because she's had a jump start on him. But against both of them, I like her chances. You know what I also like? If you come to Jeff City, Mike, you said you haven't come to Jeff City as much. We got to change that. And when we do, you got to stay at the Courtyard by Marriott. It's the top hotel. Camellia, if you're meeting with somebody and you offer to pick them up and take them to the Capitol, and you have to go to some other crappy hotel, I mean, it's just a JV mentality, right, from the start.
I mean, you want to treat your guests to a world-class experience in Jeff City.
Where do you do that at?
Well, the Courtyard by Marriott is what I am told is the best.
Well, you were told correctly.
Yes.
Let's talk about the Secretary of State race. You have Shane Schuler. I mean, but for Todd Aiken being a weirdo, he wins this race. He might be governor today. You might be in the second Schuler administration of governor, but for Todd Aiken. He's got I worry sometimes Shane is campaigning for an electorate that Donald Trump, that evangelical electorate, Trump kind of got rid of that, or at least they're not nearly as loud as they used to be. Shane's he's got a Southwest Missouri base. He had one until a lady jumped into the race, put $500,000 in from Springfield. I still think Shane carries the majority of the 7th. You got Denny Haas, has been on the trail longer, Central Missouri guy. He's part of this slate. That's what I wanted to ask you about. You kind of have Eigel. I assume you throw Wander in there. Denny, Koenig loosely involved, and then the four of them running together. Does that push Denny ahead?
You know, that's an interesting way to describe it. I don't think anybody but folks that are playing inside baseball are going to think of it that way. But it's there. I agree with you.
It saves you on staff, saves you on signs, saves you on your field people. I mean, I can see from a practical campaign standpoint to down ballot races where every dollar counts. I could see having a slate where you don't have to pay 2 or 3 people. You just have to pay your one, and he helps everybody. That teamwork makes some sense to me.
Yeah, it does. I mean, but they're down ballot races are so screwy because nobody pays attention to them until the very end, if then. It could be, something as odd as whether or not you went to the same college or the same school as them. I think Shane Schuler is a good candidate. I think he's been active in state politics even when he wasn't in Jefferson City. He's kept his hand in it as the Greene County clerk. Denny Hoskins has been very active in the state Senate. We'll see.
Well, let me ask you about Caleb Brown. This is how I view a down ballot race, especially a 3-way race. And we'll talk about the state treasury after this. You have everybody in the field here, and Camellia Peterson with the Mariners for Prosperity joining myself and Mike Mahoney here on the Midweek Update. You have enough money to get yourself out, right? But you don't have enough money to attack your opponent. And there's 3 ways to go about that. You attack your opponent and bring him down, and the other guy wins. You put yourself out there, and your opponent maybe wins. Or you split the baby, and that's usually ineffective. I think Caleb Browden is the one down ballot candidate that might have enough money to define Shane and Denny and to define himself. And that to me is the dilemma with the down ballot race. You either define yourself or define your opponent. You never have enough money to do both. Caleb might have enough money to do both.
You know, maybe so. I don't know that. I don't know that Caleb would necessarily go after Shane Scholler. At least not.
Wouldn't he go after the guy that's polling higher than him?
Well, what I'm saying here is he might go after Hoskins because of their relations in the state Senate. Scholler has been sort of a happy warrior inside of the Republican Party. He hasn't been down there in the trenches, pissing people off with legislation or anything like that. I think that's a campaign where if you're running against Shane Scholler, you define yourself better and earlier than and don't allow anybody else to define yourself for themselves. I don't know that you go negative on Shane Scholler.
The question
unless you're in deep trouble.
Does Caleb go negative? Because that's how he's come out, is saying that he's going to run a positive campaign, and he did a whole video about it. So
you believe that?
I mean, I don't know. I think it's.
I think that's what he said, but I think there will be a pack that maybe he can claim distance from.
Well, sure.
Look, at the fact of the matter is Republicans don't want happy campaigns. They want to hear the worst thing in the world about the other guy, and they want to hear it with a lot of points after Mike Mahoney does the news. I mean, that's just what they want. I mean, there's the new web stuff is coming in, and it probably is the future, but we're living in today. Let's talk about the race. To me, is the same way. You have Vivek Malik, the incumbent treasurer. He got, he's up to almost $2 million on hand. You have the budget chair from Joplin, or Carthage, sorry, a little under $500,000. Andrew Candy, a little under $200,000. I'm sorry, Lori Rook's running for treasurer down here. She came in with $500,000. It looks like Malik is on pace to have a ridiculous amount of money for a state treasurer's race. He's raising it from people that nobody else can raise it from. I mean, to me, in a one-on-one, Vivek Malik could have some problems. Vivek Malik's from India, and you're going to see Republican folks do all they can do to make that, to hit take the best shots, whisper campaign, whatever you want to say about it. But he might have enough money to swamp everybody. I mean, he's lapping everybody twice now in this race. I mean, it's the same thing. If you're Cody Smith, you might get up to enough money to put your name out, but you don't get enough money to put your name out and hit him. It's like that. There's a Spider-Man gif where they're all pointing at each other. All the Spider-Man's dressed up. If you're Koenig, you're going to run a grassroots campaign. Okay, fine. He actually could knock on 250,000 doors. That guy does knock his doors.
Oh, yes.
Do you get enough is there enough there? I mean, if Vivek keeps fundraising at this pace, is this going to be a race?
Yeah, I agree. Short of any sort of financial scandal, it's hard to put any sort of campaign together for state treasurer. And if you've got one operation here that's got that kind of money composed compared to what everybody else has got, it's going to make him a prohibitive favorite. I agree 100%.
Now let's talk about, before we let you go, Mike Mahoney. Number one, if you want to talk about rural broadband, which is a big topic we talk about here, go to north to West Missouri to Savannah United Co-op.
Sure.
They're putting rural broadband in so well. The city of St. Joseph wants him to come into town. It's kind of a reversal for it. So let's talk about, to me, though, the most interesting race. It's the race for Attorney General. You have Will Scharf. It's such an interesting candidate. Will, went to Harvard, which is not great if you're from, Howell County, Missouri. But he also used that time to get the RAGA, Club for Growth, the Federalist people to give him money. He's a genius, which is great. But probably the best thing is he's got tons of family wealth. So, again, not great that you're from the East Coast, but you come with a bunch of money. He worked for Biden's Department of Justice, not great, but he also worked for Trump's. That's pretty good. He worked for Greitens, which is not great and good, kind of at the same time. About as many people that give a damn care on both sides. This is kind of a push. Then, you come in here and he's such a smart guy. He pulled off he's being Trump's lawyer. What do you make of Scharf?
I think I think he's got a shot at this race. I really do.
I do too, totally.
I think, in fact, besides the GOP primary for governor, I think this is the most interesting race in the state from the standpoint of, Wendell Bailey, excuse me, the Attorney General.
It's a fine compliment to me.
Yeah.
Even Flat Doug likes Wendell Bailey.
Yeah, exactly. Andrew Bailey will be standing for election for the first time. He's made it quite clear that he wants to have a political career, and there's nothing wrong with that.
He's using the Holly Schmidt playbook of doing everything Camelia's friends want you to do.
Right, exactly.
Let me just pitch to you this way. To me, it comes down to this.
But I think Scharf poses a serious campaign.
I've had more than one person say, okay, he's running the Greitens campaign from 16. He's dressing like Greitens. Everybody's part of a corrupt swamp except the Harvard-educated lawyer guys, not part of the insider. But I tell you, the one thing about the Greitens campaign from 16, it worked. It was a good campaign. If I had to guess, by June 15th, he'll have $1 million a week up attacking Bailey, and probably half of that helping himself. There is a message: Republicans, the party of winning, what they used to be. Now they're the party of whining for the most part. And if you got a problem, come sit by me and let's whine about it. I'll break the camp. To me, I've thought a lot about this race. It comes out of two things. Number one, you have a war hero in Bailey who's doing every single thing a right winger would want you to do, and I wonder if it's enough. To me, it comes down to this: is Bailey's campaign tough enough to withstand the attacks from the East Coast? If Will Scharf's legal team loses this case for Trump, is he tough enough to attack him and say, "You let our president down. You're a loser"? Is he tough enough? I don't know. There's only one way to tell, and that'll be next summer. Also, with Scharf, he'll have plenty of money to attack Bailey, no question. Can he come up with a narrative independent of the attacks on Bailey that people will connect with? I think those are the two questions that'll define the race. If Bailey's tough enough to fight back on the attacks, and I don't know if he is. He hasn't really shown that yet. Is Scharf's ability to come outside of an attack message and come up with a message that why you want to vote for him? I don't know. And I think there's only one way you'll answer those questions. I mean, that's why it's fun to watch, right?
Yeah, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, one of the differences I've noticed, Bailey can give a barn burner of a speech.
He sure can.
And it is like, people love to hear that. But one of the differences I've noticed is that, Will is not as much on that end of things. But when people get with him in a small group or one-on-one or in those smaller meetings, they walk away from that and they are die-hard Will Scharf.
I think Will Scharf's actually a genius.
For sure. Yeah, he's brilliant. But it is just, he does have that ability, especially when he gets in a room with people and they feel connected with him. And so I think that's his strength.
All right, last two takes, and I will let you go. I apologize. I get chatty. I can do this all day. A presidential race. Donald Trump is the nominee. Am I wrong?
No. Trump's the nominee.
Am I wrong?
Oh, okay. You're not wrong. Okay. I would say you're probably not wrong.
All right. Let me ask you this. If they wouldn't have arrested him 10 times in a week, would he still have been the nominee?
Pose that question again.
If the Democrats wouldn't have arrested him 10 times in a week, would he be the nominee still? Would you be that confident in your prediction?
Yeah, I would be. I think even with all of Biden's difficulties, if it's a Biden-Trump race, Joe Biden wins it by a nose.
I thoroughly agree with you on that. If they wouldn't have arrested him all those times on stuff that, I'm not saying he's not guilty of all. I assume he probably is on most of it. It looked so tacky and so Costa Rican of an American government to do. I think if they don't pull that stunt, I still think he's the nominee, but I think he would have had to show up to debates. It would have been live rounds. I'm not nearly as confident he would have been the nominee, except for that ridiculousness.
That's my personal conspiracy theory, is that it was all intentional because
it was effective then.
Right. For sure. I mean, they've, weaponized.
Trump is the least sympathetic person. I went and watched Napoleon. Great movie. I liked it. I don't know what else did, but Donald Trump might be the least sympathetic figure in American political history.
Mm-hmm.
But they've made him almost sympathetic.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe not to the folks that hated him, but the folks that were kind of just tired of him. It's like, well, now I'm kind of tired of Trump, but now that's bullshit. And I think it's been a very soothing salve to put on Trump to see him, people kind of feel sorry for him. All right, last question. Kelton has started an illegal gambling pool, Mike. We bet on he bets on the Tigers every week. This week it worked out. They did just destroy the Hogs. But now he has no Tigers to bet on. We're going to test Kelton's skill. We have the SEC championship, Kelton. It's Georgia by 6. Who are you taking against Bama?
I'm going to have to take Georgia on this one.
Mike, it's $10 in. I'll cover you. It's always a danger covering an Irishman. McKenna's taught me that.
Yeah, I'm good for it.
Georgia, Bama, Georgia -6. Who you got?
I got Georgia.
All right. So the way this works is Georgia and Alabama are going to play a football team or a football game. And if Georgia has to win by 6, if Alabama wins the game or wins by any number or loses by 5 or less, you win. So tell me who you win.
Okay, so here's the thing. I saw the story the other day where a single mom made a ton of money just copying someone else's bet. So what I want to know is which one of you has the best track record so far?
Well, Kelton has just been blindly betting on Mizzou, so it's hard to go with. His track record's been
Mizzou is 10-2, so I'm not that bad.
But a couple of times, like I took Florida with the points, and let's not. But so I would say they both picked Georgia, giving the points. Is that where you're going?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to pick Nick Saban. I think he's pissed off. I think he sees Georgia walking away in the conference from Alabama. I think it galls him, and I think Nick Saban's going to come back fighting and ready to post a win. Maybe it's not even a win for maybe he doesn't even win, but I think Alabama has been the king of the mountain, and they're tired of not being the king of the mountain, and they're going to make it a close game, and if they don't, they're going to win it. We'll see. Mike Mahoney, thank you so much for the time. I could visit all day. I sure appreciate it.
Till next time. It was my pleasure. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Camellia Peterson, thank you so much for joining us. Literally, it was awesome. You were doing Austin's show. We were able to grab you. Tomorrow, we're going to have at 11, we're going to bring in Aaron Baker, talk all things Missouri politics. I wonder if we run down this slate with him. Of course, it's tougher for Aaron. He's got candidates and campaigns he works for. It makes it legitimately harder. But it'd be interesting to get Aaron. Aaron, there is nobody that knows Missouri politics frontwards, backwards, knows more people than Aaron Baker. Thursday, we're talking Money Matters, Lincoln Huff. And Friday, we're going to talk with my old hillbilly pal. You might even see me break out the overalls for Mike Moon in the studio. Going to be a full week of midweek updates to make up for not having a show. Thank you so much for joining. We'll see you tomorrow for This Week of Missouri Politics.